Can you edit this picture?
Yeah, we'll just go with it. What is going on, guys? This is Chris back with Grind Hard Fitness, and today we have a very special episode. We have Letty here, and we've been following each other for a while on social media, but now is the first time we actually sit down, get to know each other personally. So you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, where they can find you?
Yes, my name is Letty Villafana. I am a personal trainer and IFBB Figure Pro. I'm here at Fox Fitness in Fort Worth, so that's where you can find me.
What is your social media?
That is Letty.IFBB Pro, and you can just search under his followers.
So the whole reason that, of course, we wanted to come out and talk to you is I followed your journey, mainly on the prep where you went to IFBB Pro, and I wanted to share your story with everyone because going into it, you are a mom, right?
Yes, I am, full time.
So kind of tell us the story of, did you always dream of being an IFBB Pro?
I started competing back in 2016, and I was bikini. I did not, I went into the sport as a weight loss journey. It was not to be anything in the sport. And as I was losing weight and progressing throughout the months, I ended up going into a show.
Gotcha.
And then from there is when I was like, all right, I fell in love with this sport. And from that moment on, I was like, I want to be a pro. I want to become a professional at the sport.
So this is when you found that spark, you're like, I'm gonna dedicate my life to this.
And it has been.
And so before even competing, were you already a personal trainer?
No, this opened up a whole world. Before bodybuilding, I was in banking. I was at the bank for 15 years. I didn't know nothing about the gym. I was not anywhere near a personal trainer or coach. And I mean, even, my son's father, I had no range of even meeting him about the sport. So my whole world changed when I entered the sport.
That's what's crazy. So even for myself, in 2019, it started with the weight loss journey. Seeing the scale at 320, I was like, damn, I needed to turn my life around. So I started just doing weight loss, and once people started asking the questions, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna dive into this a little deeper. So when COVID happened, of course we lost the gyms. I was like, I'm gonna hire a personal trainer, see how hard I can push myself. And in this video, this podcast I was doing on my own, I told myself I'm gonna become that trainer. And so you manifest these things, and becoming the trainer led me to becoming a business owner, which led me to becoming a bodybuilder.
It really does. All those doorways open.
It opens so many doors. So what do you vision for yourself now that you have obtained this IFBB Pro code?
Oh my goodness, what a great question. And what you just touched on, it just kept opening doors. So I have a vision for myself to excel in this sport, to continue to get exposure. My exposure that I want is what we're talking about today, is just really teaching women that it's beyond just the look of your physique. It's more inner. It's inner. Your life just continues to evolve, whether you're becoming a parent or you go from being, in a joint parent home to now you're a single parent, or you go through an accident. There was an accident I went through during my time trying to obtain my pro card. I got in a car accident, my wrist, everything was broken, and you have to learn to just be patient with the process. But the thing is that everything I envisioned for myself came about, but even bigger than I even imagined. So when I come up with a plan, I kind of feel like it's endless. So I want to continue to work one-on-one with people, because I think behind a computer really just takes away that personal relationship.
Right, that personal relationship, that bond you build with this person. Because it's crazy how you meet someone and you see them develop, not only physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Yeah, it's definitely a whole journey.
It is definitely a whole journey. And even for myself opening the gym, you overcome a lot of obstacles. So the day, or the week I should say, I signed the dotted line to create, the lease, I lost my home. So my apartment flooded, I had to move out. This was literally Christmas weekend, and my birthday's the day after Christmas. So, you go through this phase of God, why am I going through this? It can be so many things, but guess what? You stay strong, you stay dedicated to what you believe in, keep your faith strong, and things turn around. So no matter what life happens or what life throws your way, just know that it's for a reason.
Oh, absolutely. And touching on so many different levels. I'm a goal setter. I want to excel in everything that I'm doing right now, as an athlete, as a mother, as a coach to my girls. But like, I just know that like, as long as I stay focused on the person in front of me, and literally, I've been preaching about authentic relationships with people, like just be your true vulnerable self, and that's what's going to draw people in. And as that continues to grow, I just like take opportunities like you just gave me today to speak on it.
Correct.
And just kind of see where it goes from there, what doors that opens up. So I'm really just like, I'm just flowing with life right now.
Correct.
Yeah.
You just want to go with the flow, believe in trusting your own personal process, but also know that God has a plan for you.
Yes.
You know, that is something that I definitely had to turn my life around. I was an alcoholic, I was a drug addict, you know, so many
I
things.
don't even have like, I know, wow, so many things for like the list.
Yes,
Yeah,
so that's what I'm saying. Like, don't ever let anything, you know, stop you from doing what you truly believe in. So going back, what do you want to tell all the new mommies, you know, that are coming into fitness? You know, what is something you really want to drive to them?
Okay, so I feel like I was like even thinking about like what was the biggest like lesson that I learned like from this whole thing. Now that I'm able to look back at the pregnancy, postpartum, I think what was the biggest shock to me when I became pregnant was I was actually in the middle of, I had just competed and I was coming off to want to then go to nationals as a figure athlete, and then I found out I was pregnant, so COVID hit and it put everything to a stop. The whole time before leading up to that show, I felt like I had fallen in love with the process of like eating healthy, you know, training. I was like, all right, self-love, this is you loving yourself. It's beyond the physique, you're taking care internally. But when I got pregnant, it was like all that was out the window, and I felt I was like critiquing everything about my body and not allowing the process just to happen. So I realized how my body might have changed in so many drastic ways, but my mind never grew as much as like the outside. And that I feel is most important, is like when you're going through this process to also like allow yourself to grow mentally, whether that's like pouring yourself in books that teach you about like yourself, about your mental mind, you know, expanding your mindset, whether that's listening to podcasts, going to church, like growing spiritually, joining groups. Because if you stay in that very isolated form, which this sport can be very isolating, you get just this hone and focus on your physique, but you don't really grow as a person within. And that, I felt like if I would have worked on that before, I would have enjoyed my pregnancy a lot more. And I tell females all the time, like, it is such a miracle to be able to have a child and birth that baby, and we don't even give our body credit for creating that miracle, birthing a child, and we give ourselves more credit for dropping a pound or 2 pounds on our check-in. And that to me was very sad, very disconnected. Like, we don't give ourselves enough credit for something that is like a miracle. A lot of women don't even get to experience that. And I didn't even fully enjoy it because I was so stuck on, am I gonna get back to what I weighed? Am I gonna look the same as I did before? And now that I'm able to step back, I realized that like without Josiah, my son, like growing my body, I would have never grew enough to be an athlete, to be competitive on a national stage as a figure athlete. I would have never appreciated time and patience and how the body can go to this magnitude and then back down to this itty bittiness. I realized how powerful the mind was. Like, whatever you set your mind to and envision that, it can happen and exceed. Like, we limit ourselves by thinking that pregnancy destroys us. And it doesn't. It doesn't. My body completely changed for the better. My mind changed for the better because of that challenge that I had to face coming back from pregnancy, postpartum. So I want people just to relax in their pregnancy, just enjoy that stage, push themselves to a normal rate, you know, trust your body too, because I feel like a lot of times they try to like make you feel like you're handicapped when you're pregnant, and it's like your body's so resilient. You absolutely can still do what you do, just be more mindful.
Yeah, I mean, you can train all the way through up until you feel comfortable.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I've actually we've had clients go all the way through like their last few weeks.
Oh yeah.
And
days. Or sometimes we see someone's pregnant here one day and they have the baby that night, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, man, and healthy baby, you know what I mean? And I think those moms definitely feel a lot happier, going through the process.
Oh, and then the aftermath, like, what comes after, when you keep your body conditioned, it was a little more difficult for me because of COVID, but like, when you keep your body conditioned, your body afterwards starts like going back to normal a lot quicker and a lot smoother. Like your recovery is a lot smoother because you have such a healthy foundation that your body just starts to gravitate back to like what it was. It's just patience. I realize how much you don't have patience and like anything these days. Everything happens so quickly that we don't give ourselves a break.
So what about when you had like your newborn baby? How did you balance that life?
I also have discussed this multiple times with like women too, and I think I mentioned it the other day online. I felt that I was blessed in that perspective, that time period of my life. Like my then husband was very much involved. Like I feel that if I could wish anything for women who have their children is that their spouse or their significant other is involved. Hopefully all the way through, but that time period of my life, he was very much involved and wanted me to get back to the place of like what I enjoyed. He knew that I loved this sport and that I loved being in the gym. He knew that I was very uncomfortable coming here because you have like a certain expectation of yourself. And then when you walk into the gym and you can hardly push any weight because you have no core muscle, you don't have form, you just start to really beat down on yourself. So we worked out like where he would be with my son and I would come to the gym early, then we would trade places and then I would bring my son to school. And this is before we really got into personal training and coaching. We were still at our corporate jobs. So I think that partnership works a lot. But for those who don't, like now, I have my son and I have to kind of work out my schedule because it's me and Josiah, and you just have to plan.
Correct.
It's like a prep. You have to plan. Like, you get your child here, schedule yourself in like you would schedule a client. Like, you have to take care of yourself. Otherwise, you can't take care of
And I think a lot of people struggle with putting yourself first sometimes. I tell people all the time, it is not selfish to take care of yourself. It is actually selfish if somebody else wants to take that time from you.
That's a good way to put it.
You know what I mean? Why not take care of yourself, especially in like the Latino households, you're always worried about the family, you're always worried about what is everybody going to say.
Everybody else.
Yeah, so I learned it the hard way. It's like, no, it's my time. And unfortunately, especially in the Mexican household, they're like, no pasa nada, you're like, just eat, you know what I mean? No, it's time to be selfish a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. I do agree with that. For real. Because then you're happy. You feel good about yourself, and then especially in the roles that we're in, what draws a lot of the women in is that they do see that I'm a mom, and then they see me here, and they see what I'm doing with my girls, or that I'm able to perform what I'm asking them to perform. And I only got there because I allowed myself the time to focus on myself. And so it is very important to put time back into you.
Got it. And what do you vision for yourself and your son now? Like, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Whether it's in the industry, whether it's mom life, whatever business you want to go in.
I see myself 5 years. Wow. Okay, so I'm 36, so I'm getting up there. So I'll be in my 40s. Honestly, I see myself still competing. I do. I want to continue to compete. I know I am a born athlete. I love sports, being active, and I want to mimic that for my son. My son's very blessed to have two parents that are very much in an athletic setting every day, and I want that for him. I want him to be healthy, to want to be active, and I want to keep modeling that. And I think, just even yesterday I had posted something saying this was 26, this is 36, and everyone was so in shock at that difference, or how it's almost more youthful as I get older. It's the lifestyle that matches it. But for me, I'm I don't want this stigma anymore that you have a baby, you can't get in shape. You're in your 30s, your time is coming. I'm 40, I can't do this. No, I want to continue to push those limits in the sport and out here as you don't have, age is really nothing but a number. Thanks to Aaliyah for saying that, because it's true. It's just, and I want to grow my business, not even just here in Fort Worth, DFW, but I want to expand it. Expand it online, expand it to just other people, and really have an audience of females, mothers. I just really want to be an influence.
You want to impact the world.
Yeah, just impact the world.
Do you see
my
yourself
little baby next to me.
possibly opening a gym or anything like that?
I would love, actually, yes, I would love to do something like that. That's always been like on the list of something I want to do. Then all these like gyms started opening up, but I think that that's great. I don't think that it's like a intimidation to other gyms. I think that, like, you know, again, your energy that you put into things, like we all as personal trainers, we pretty much do the same thing. Gyms pretty much provide the same type of thing. It's the difference in the energy or the authenticity of it.
I like to tell people, especially like I do have my gym and I have independent trainers. I tell them all the time, it's not about the gym, it's about the person. Correct?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you go.
Yeah, they'll come anyway for you. You know, it's a matter of
and it doesn't matter how many personal trainers, how many gyms there are. There's always a piece of the cake for everything.
Oh, absolutely. It really is.
There's enough at the gym for everything.
It's the right fit. Like, even when I talk about coaching on my Instagram or whatnot, I always say to them, like, you find the coach that is a right fit for you. Like, there's many great coaches, but who's a right fit for you? Like, and, you know, and then why did you choose your coach? Like, you should know why you chose your coach. Because it should mirror something that you want to achieve or something that is important to you. You know, like I have a coach that's very focused around like his family, faith, building his figure, athletes and stuff. So that's a good fit for me, you know, and I think other people should also look into what fits them. If it's a woman that was a mom or is a mom or postpartum or pregnant, like, you know, whatever it is, you should really like, because that's going to motivate you in the end. And you see that, you see yourself in that person. So
definitely, you got to be able to relate to them. You got to be able to click. You got to have that chemistry overall. Because if not, trust me, I've been down that. I've had a coach who like it wasn't really working out. I'm like, you know what? It's time to walk away. Find somebody who I can connect with, and you know, it's just that way. So what about with like your son? I know he's growing up. How old is he now?
He's 3. He'll be 4 in November. So yes, he's growing.
I see him all the time with his Chick-fil-A. He loves his Chick-fil-A.
I know, I'm like, healthy life, and my son's all about his Chick-fil-A. I know. He needs a sponsorship. That's what he needs, for real.
What's his name?
Josiah.
Oh, Josiah with Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
He tells like me all the time he's gonna work there. Like, I'm like, that's good. Good dream, son. Like, dream big. Chick-fil-A.
And where are you originally from?
I was born in New Jersey, but I was raised in Colorado, and then I spent my 20s in Arizona, and then when I met my son's father, I moved out to Fort Worth. So I was a military daughter. So.
Gotcha. Where's your family from?
My mom is from Mexico, and my dad's from the Dominican Republic.
Got it. What part of Mexico?
My mom's from La Ciudad de Mexico.
Oh man, Chilanga.
Yeah.
Have you been up there?
I have. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And then I've been to the Dominican Republic. My dad's from Santo Domingo. He's from the capital. I just haven't been there in a long time. Like, that's the goal. I feel like I'm so proud to be Latina.
Yeah, and it feeds off of your posing, like all the music you use. Like, I think that's what really draws attention. You know, people really admire that. And even with like a lot of poses that I see online, they use a lot of like very cinematic, very, you know. And when I competed, I used the Chente song because I'm very part of the culture, you know. So why not bring our culture into the sport?
It makes me so proud. I just have parents that had to start from the process to get over here, and I just am so proud to represent the both of them in all things. My dad is in the Army. My mother has always been a very supportive wife, like next to him, and they're both very proud to be from where they're from, but they're very proud to be from
American.
Yeah, they're like, they really instilled it in us that this is where we should be most proud. So to be able to step on stage or to even just stand by my son, I just feel so proud of like whatever it is that I accomplished, because it just adds on to my Latin roots, it adds on to my son, our name, like, and I'm just really proud of what
of our culture, definitely. And now the next question I have for you, and it's something they asked me recently, what do you feel is like the most important to you? What do you feel more passionate about? Do you feel more passionate about being the athlete on stage or being the coach, having your athletes on stage?
What was your answer?
Honestly, I love to see my athletes on stage because I'm making their dreams come true. My dream came true stepping on stage once, but they also are supportive of me being the athlete, leading by example.
Yeah, it goes like full circle. But you know, I shared this business for some time with my son's father, and so I always, like, he was like the coach. I always put myself in like an assistant position. So I was the active athlete, you know, that we were really like focused also on getting to stage alongside all of our other athletes. And so I really had to divide my attention to both of those, like my path as well as my athletes. This is the first time that I actually am stepping into where I am fully coaching my girls and watching them take that step, whether it's on stage or just their goals. But I can tell you right now, like, and I know all my girls can attest, the love that I pour into my females, whether it's for posing or it's for coaching, it's a motherly love. Like, I really do wholeheartedly love to see them gain their confidence throughout the whole thing. And that's what I preach when they're posing. It's like, anybody can teach you how to do a pose, but you can't just teach somebody confidence. You have to like pour into them like a belief, pour love into them, practice, repetition, and prove to them that they have the right to be confident. And so I can only imagine how it's going to feel the day that I see one of my athletes actually walk across stage or achieve that goal that they wanted, knowing that we fully worked together. Like, I want to share that success with whoever's in my life, but now that it's on my plate, I really am excited to like witness them achieve those things.
So one thing that I personally went through this last year was being on prep with my athletes, you know, and going through the process together. It's a different ball game.
Yes, it is.
But well, it goes back to, you know, I'm there for them the show day. I'm there to pump them up. I'm there to hype them up. You know, actually see them, you know, even place top 5. But then turning around and coming to my show day.
You did that.
That feels like great, because like I told them, you're not obligated to come. I am your coach, but by no means are you obligated. But them wanting to be there, it means a lot.
Build that relationship with you.
So that's what builds community. Then it goes back to building your brand. You know, what do you represent? How do you treat the people that are around you? You know, just bring family.
And it's deeper than just that prep. Like, I love those lifelong relationships. Like, I get very, like, when my girls come, it's not just like, okay, what's the goal at hand? We stay focused, but it really is. It's like, my dad always taught me, like, you know, when you're interacting with people, whether it's in the business form, like at the bank or it's in here, always get to know them as people. Like, and always like know about their kids, know about the birthdays, and, you know, make those things important to you too, because that builds community. Like you said, that's the focus. Like, I feel like God created community so we can keep growing within our community, help each other out. I can teach people through my hardships how to like overcome theirs, and we can teach each other through what worked to try that. And it's just an everlasting growing community when we actually open up to one another. So with my girls, they all know each other, they all see each other in crossing, they all have somebody to call if they're having a hard time, like, you know, with their prep or with life or with that, like, just continue to build those like authentic relationships, and that's really good.
And that's where that phrase goes, that family doesn't always mean blood. You grow so many family members out here. Sometimes, unfortunately, those friends you build are closer to you than your actual family.
And you know, in my case, I'm very, very, very blessed. My family is like, has always been so supportive, so like anything I want, they just support me. But they're in Arizona, and so here my family really did become well. Like, all of y'all became my family. Like, everybody knows who Josiah is. Everybody knows, you know, where I work, where, like, you know, what I do, what I focus on, you know, my heart. And if they don't, like, you know, they probably heard about, like, our family or whatnot. But, like, I'm just really grateful for the people out here that have invested in me as much as I've invested in them, including the Foxes here that own this building. And so,
anything you want to, now that we're at Fox Fitness, you brought it up, anything you want to say about Fox Fitness, shout them out, how that story goes.
Fox, you know, Fox was the first gym I visited in Fort Worth back in 2018, and none of this was here. The gym has evolved and grown. I think for a while they were like one of the only gyms that actually were kind of like the bodybuilder type look and feel out here. Fox, they are a family of the Foxes, and they wanted to keep it a vibe of like a family gym. And honestly, no matter how big they grow or how many people come out here, they still like attain that feeling of that family. They are very, like, everybody knows each other, everyone, like, you know, knows each other's goals. If not, you know the face there. Nobody bothers anyone. There's not a lot of tripods. Like, you know, everyone's just here to work, and then the family comes through here and knows their people. So,
so it's still very, like, family-owned,
very supportive, very caring, and They've done a lot for me as far as my shows too, just making sure that like if there's any help I needed for a show, or even like if it's Josiah and bringing Josiah here, like they've just been very supportive in my progression.
Got it. Now, there's another question I think is super important, and it's something that I like to ask everyone.
Yeah.
What is your measure of success with this business?
Wow, that is a good question. Because to me, and I've always been like this, my measurement of successes, or even like how I like to be recognized, has never really been like a dollar amount. I know some people are really good with like numbers and that's their success, and that's awesome if they are. But my measurement of success, I think, is honestly what feedback I get back from like how I train or how I am with my people, the retention of people.
Sure.
Like all my girls have been with like this business when it was my son's father and I, and now that it's just me, they've all retained for so long, and that is a true testament of who you are as a person.
Sure.
You know, that the retention of your people, even my loyalty to my coach, is like the retention is there because of how he's treated and how he's focused on the goals, and that's the same way I want to be with them. So my measurement of success is retention of the people and then who they bring along. So I'm not going to recommend like my close friend to go to somebody, that I don't even respect or I don't even see value. And then, so my measurement of success is retention of my people, and then honestly just the way that they have invested and put into my family and my son has meant so much to me, that has been my attest that like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, is that love that I receive back.
Oh yeah. Another thing that I like to tell people, apart from the clients we retain, the relationships we build, is like the impact you have even on social media nowadays.
Yeah.
How many lives are you touching every single day? How many views are you getting? You never know. It takes that one person just to change your life.
Yeah.
My YouTube following isn't big, but I know that just if I can impact one person, it made a difference in the world.
And that's like honestly, amen to that, because it's not even like the number. I feel like if we get so caught up in that, like it's unfortunate, because there's so many people that have so much to say and so much life to share, but because they don't have like a huge following, they don't feel like their word is very valuable. And that's why I even appreciate like this. Like when you reached out, I was like, what? Because I know that there's so many other pros that you could have reached out to, or so many other people with maybe a bigger following or whatever. And it was nice to feel that like you hold so much, like you see so much value in somebody because you really listened to what they were saying or what they're going through or what they've achieved. And I felt like when I really started talking about like my postpartum, and when I started talking about just like life in general, all of a sudden there was like a lot more viewing, a lot more interactions, and I told everybody when I was talking in one of my videos that it's people gravitate toward authentic conversation, authentic relationships, and I feel like when you are your true authentic self, no lies, no mask, no facade you're trying to put out there, and you're just raw, real, people gravitate toward that and they want to know more. And I know it's because our souls desire that type of connection.
You put yourself out there, you're vulnerable, people relate to
vulnerable.
it. Like, some people will put a front on once the camera comes on, and that's not, you know what I mean? I truly don't like that. It's like, you have to be that person all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Because you see it all the time with like Hollywood. You see a celebrity, you feel like you know them, but then you're like, hey, can I get an autograph? You get that. They brush you off, So definitely, I think people truly appreciate that.
But I will say too, like, I think the biggest thing I've also learned too is like with that, where you said like, be who you are online, in person, just be yourself. I believe that too with like coaching. I feel like if I'm going to invest this much into my girls or into my clients, I have to come home with that same amount of energy to invest in my son. I really, really feel like, leadership and influence starts at home. And so for me to come to work and like pour all my heart and soul into these girls and then go home and just be too tired for my son is not setting anything up for him, So I think a big challenge with being like a mama bear to my clients and also being that to my son, I have to remember that what's at home starts first, and I have to be that person for him in the morning and at night, no matter how many clients I have during the day or no matter how hard a day is. Or when you become a mother, you really learn how to stretch yourself thin, but you have to also learn that like be these little humans really depend on me to set the tone for their day and set the tone for their whole mentality. And I don't ever want him to resent work or resent,
like, why wasn't she there?
oh, why, like, she's so great coach and all this, but was never here with me. And, so it's really important to, like, but also give yourself grace, because you suddenly become this world to this little person, and you are gonna fall down and have to get back up. And that's actually something I wanted to add. I'm sorry, I'm like rambling now, but
it's all you.
I was like, because I was talking to my sister about this, like, I am grateful for the sport though, because the sport taught me that no matter what, and this, you're on prep, you could have a great day, bad day, life still happens, and you can't press pause. You have to keep moving hour by hour, day by day, check-in by check-in. No matter what the excuse is, you have to keep moving. And when everything in my life kind of changed last year, it was a huge changing, still kind of going through the course of everything, I didn't get to stop being mom. I had to continue to be mom. And the sport taught me, like, you don't just quit on a bad day and stop your prep or stop going to the stage. You add up all those hardships together, and they get you that moment on stage. You just be so proud of yourself, and you look back at the whole journey. And now I'm at a point in my life that I look back at the last, like, 8 months, and I'm just like, how did I do that? Like, how did I manage to keep this little boy, like, so happy, healthy? We're just trucking along, like, with all these challenges that were coming, and he's still, like, the biggest compliment I get on social media is when people are like, he is so happy, like, good job, mama. And, that hits me hard, because it's like, oh my gosh, like, only people know just a quarter of everything, but to have managed the prep, a business, and the changes in life, and then my son, who's 2 and then turned 3, moving, and all of these changes, to know that he's still happy is, like, my biggest thing. And to know that my girls are still here, and they're still wanting more, and they're still achieving their goals, like, that's where I know that God has my back, and but yes, the sport taught me that you don't stop, no matter what. I can't stop being a mom, no matter what. Like, I have to keep going.
Definitely, and like you said, you're just setting the example, saying you're set up for the future. You're giving them that, man, I can do anything. If my mom did, I can do it.
I hope one day you sit with him and have an interview, and you're like, tell us about your mom.
And I know what it's like, because, like, even for myself, I grew up with just my mom, and I saw everything that she went through. For her, it was more of being single, yes, but she also has a brain tumor, her diabetes, things like that. So in 2013, I almost lost her for surgery. She went through chemo and all that. Luckily, it wasn't cancer, but almost losing her made me grow up very fast. I was in high school. I couldn't get a job, so I started DJing. It's the only thing I could do with my music. And like I said, growing up fast, now I turned around and I was the provider. So her going through that taught me so much. And then I didn't know, this is when, now that I think about it, now I'm learning that I am where I need to be, because at the time, after surgery, she didn't want to do anything. She was going through depression and all that. She couldn't stand, she couldn't walk. I knew it was my job to get her up, because that depression was going to be the last thing.
I hope my son is like,
so
he's so appreciative of me, like you are your mom.
Definitely, and so, like, her going through this depression phase, I knew it was my job to get her up, get her going. I took her to a 24-hour fitness, and so she lost about 150 pounds.
Awesome.
Now she's off insulin, all this medication, you know what I mean? So now, like I say, now that I'm thinking about it, God put me exactly where He wanted me.
That is so true.
And, the same thing, you're setting that example for your son, that one day he's going to turn around and take care of you the way you
Thank you. You're just, like, struck every chord, because honestly, that's the goal. Like, I feel like the men that have, in this time period of my life, that have, like, just told me how much they appreciate their mother and how their mom was the only one they had. Like, it was just, that to me is the goal. Like, the goal is to have my son have us both, no matter what life is, he has his mom. But there will be a day that one of us goes, or there will be days that he has one over the other, or, we don't know where life goes, but I know, like, the strength that God has put in me to be an athlete, He put, like, about 10 times more in me to be a mother. And to know that, like, these clients, again, patient, they don't see their results until maybe later, after going through life, but your mother just kept loving you, and she didn't see that real result until maybe that day when you told her to be pregnant, and now you're taking care of her. And that's all growing. It's all growing. And that's what's so beautiful, like we talked before the camera, like, you know, that God has made everything kind of come to a circle. He'll keep providing, you know, as long as we keep just, I feel like, just leading with love, trusting. And I know it's very hard to do that, but I felt like the deeper prep got, the less I felt like I had the energy to get through things. And when you are at your most vulnerable state, I feel like that's when the enemy tries to attack you the most. And again, the sport teaching us how to just keep moving forward, and other people are watching you, you're teaching them how to move forward. There was always purpose brought to every single painful moment or moment where I thought I was going to give up. All y'all were looking, and all y'all were sending love, or being motivated, or saying, hey, you've inspired me. Like I told you, one of my clients' husbands was inspired by you, and you were kind of all shocked.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, you don't even know who you're inspiring just by being open about
and
your journey.
people see us on social media and they may think so many things, but at the end of the day, to ourselves, we're just a regular person.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Shut
who
that
am
off,
I?
and I'm like, Josiah, quit pooping your pants.
Yeah, it's like, who am I? You know?
Yeah.
So, like, another thing that I'd like to add is, like, most people don't even know that I have 2 teenagers at home.
Definitely did not know
You know,
that.
and they're
Definitely did not know
my
that.
little cousins who I've took on, you know, the role of dad. And so they're 14 and 15, and
Wow, that is very
my ultimate goal with them is to set the example of, like, owning a business, and, like, you don't need to work for anybody. You can set a goal and just go for it.
Yeah.
One of them is more of I want to go to college. Another one's like, no, I want to build my
Yeah,
business.
I
You know what I
know,
mean?
that's
They got the hustle mentality. So again, it all starts from home and setting the example.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed that, you know, my wife, you know, she brought them into her life, you know,
For real.
with an
Yes.
open heart.
Yes.
She's always on top of them. Like, did you do your homework?
Yeah,
Did you,
that's so good.
you know,
Continue.
it's like I said, at the end of the day, we're just normal people, and I want people to understand that we all have our imperfections, we have our hard days, but no matter what, we have a goal and we have to live by it.
And I hope you and your wife give yourselves a lot of credit too, though, because like I hear you talk about like what she does and like what she contributes. Like you just said before, that she's holding down the fort over there, like, and that you appreciate that. And back to you too, appreciate yourself that like you're doing these things, normal people, but there's a lot of people out there that aren't extending their homes and arms to people in need of it and pouring themselves into it and wanting to inspire them. A lot of people are very in themselves, their selfish needs, that they're not really considering other people. So what used to maybe seem normal, a man to step up and help these kids that need help, is not normal these days, and it's unfortunate, you know. And I hope one day whoever steps into my life is going to be like taking on my family and my goals as their own, you know. That's what that is. So that's amazing that your wife does that. That's rare that people care for those things these days. And so that's inspiring, you know. And I think people need to hear about your normal life too, because people start to see us as just these gym characters.
Correct.
And I think they need to hear more about being a mother, being somebody that's married in this type of business. And, you know, 'cause things get hard, like during prep or during running your own business, like you almost neglect certain areas of your life. And maybe people need to hear that that's okay, it's normal, but what are you doing to actually bring it back to your family or bring it back to your spouse? And that's what matters, you know, evolving from those type of things.
Definitely, and like I said, she's a blessing. So
Yeah.
that's all I gotta say about
So
that.
nice. Yes.
So now with your clients, do you have anybody currently going for a prep?
You know, I was focused a lot on lifestyle, because I know that there's a lot of tedious things that go into a prep, and I didn't want to. I know how amazing my preps have been because I've had coaches that were fully invested, ready to take me on. They had a number of athletes. They're focused on each of them, so I poured in all I can because I knew they were investing in me. So for me, with all the transitions in my life, I was like, no athletes as far as prepping them and going into all of that until I get settled in my new chapter. And finally, so I was just training athletes and then lifestyle. But now I do have a athlete that is going to be competing. We haven't chose a show yet, but she is going to be doing wellness, and I'll like let her reveal herself, but like she'll be doing wellness, and it's just, she's doing so good. She takes direction so well, and you know, as coaches, it's, you want those athletes that follow the plan so you can know what's working, what's not working. And she's one of those blessings from God that, like, you know, that she's following it, she's keeping on top of it, she's reporting it, so we know what to change. And so I'm happy to be taking on such a great athlete. She's never done this before, and then I'm gonna like pace myself out so I can continue to give quality over quantity.
And just so people know, it's not all about bodybuilding for us. We love helping people with their lifestyle.
The lifestyle are amazing because it's a lifestyle. It's like, you know, like you change your life.
Yeah, that's literally where
yeah, it's
you
forever.
live. Like, these people are the ones that are like, man, they make it worth the while while you do this.
Yeah, and it's usually like health things. And so when you see those, like, used to be on insulin, now they're not on it. Used to be on fat burners, and now they're not on it. Used to take all these meds, now they're not on it. Like, those are huge wins. Like, even here we get a lot of like police officers and like Tarrant County people that want to go into becoming a police. So I've done a lot of conditioning for them, and when they win those, or when they get hired on and they pass those tests, that's like another like yes, like you realize that you're impacting more than just the stage. Like these are people's lives. Like you're gonna be a police officer chasing people and criminals, and you need to be conditioned to be doing those things for your life. Like, so when it exceeds beyond just, not just, but exceeds beyond a stage goal, and it reflects your life, like that's the win. That's what's exciting.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Now, like yours, do you see yourself on an Olympia stage?
Yes. I've always seen myself on an Olympia stage, and I will say, like, I feel that a lot of people I've come in contact with, like, that been a part of the sport, or, you know, relationship-wise, and, you know, going all back to 2016, like, they've always said that they could see me on the stage. And I believe it. Like, I believe it, and I believe it's the drive that I have, the fact that I faced so many different life changes and still achieve these goals that I set for myself. I can't imagine, life's never going to be perfect, so we can't base it off of that, but going through everything that I went through, having, you know, a C-section, going through postpartum, becoming a single mom, like having a toddler by myself, like, you know, going through all these different chapters and still achieving the goal, I can't imagine what it's going to be now that my life can actually focus on that point. And so I know I will be up there. I see myself, I feel it. I feel that when I'm on stage, the judges, like, you know, are very gravitated toward me. I know I have the right coach in my life, the right people. I have no reason not to, you know, and I don't ever, because I'm little versus I embrace it all. Like, I embrace the littleness, I embrace that my opportunities to grow, but I know that I can do it. And so I'm excited. I know there will be a day I'm on that stage.
You're gonna be there. It's all about patience and trusting the process.
Yes. It's so much fun.
And I think, like I said, that's what inspires so many women now. It's like, man, she did it all. She's the mom, she's that athlete, she's everything.
Thank you.
Well, you know, you stay working, you stay posting, you stay, you know, consistent with your social media, everything. It all goes a long way, you know what I mean? And I think that's where I was able to relate. And the reason why we're sitting here, obviously I'm not a mom, but I do have that, you know, the weight loss part. It's like I now vision myself. I see a pro card. I feel the pro card. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. And you know, sometimes I need to slow down and really appreciate what I have done.
Oh, absolutely. You pinned on something, and I hope you do. And I know after your show I was writing you, and I really wanted you to realize what you achieved. Like, it was, you had us all cheering you on. One of my, like my best friend, she's always with me. We might as well make an Instagram together, but Marissa, she reached out to me when she saw you competing, and she's like, oh my gosh, did you see Chris? Like, you know, we're all just so, because you maintain that very humble, caring person, and we gravitate toward it. And we saw you achieve it, and it was so exciting. And I want you to be in the moment. I want people to be in the moment, because we get so focused on, and I always tell my girls this too, that moment on stage, that moment on stage. But what makes you that athlete, or that makes you that champion, or that makes you who you become that day, is everything you've done leading up to that moment. All the sleds you pushed, all the weight you pushed, all the dieting, all the preppy meals, all the late nights, the early mornings, like cardio, fasted, like check-ins, like all of that is what led up to that moment. And it's not just that moment on stage, it's the journey there, all of it. So take a moment and realize like, wow, like all of that led to here and I'm here right now. And then ride off of that, like, you know, and then recognize